In the middle of a silent forest, a small child ran with all his might. His breath was ragged, his eyes filled with fear, as if something was stalking him. Suddenly, a mysterious white-haired figure emerged from the darkness, and in an instant, the small body vanished into the woods along with that strange being. The child could only cry, calling out to his brother in a faint voice that slowly faded into the night. The next day, the Min Trading Guild household was thrown into chaos. Their young master, Hongrang, had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. His mother, Min Yoi, was overcome with grief. She poured all her strength into finding her beloved son, spreading sketches of his face across the land, summoning shamans, even performing spirit-calling rituals. But all was in vain. It was as if Hongrang had been swallowed by the earth. Meanwhile, his elder brother, Jae-yi, could only sit on the rooftop, staring at the road where his brother was last seen, faithfully waiting for a miracle that never came. 12 years passed. The loss had turned into a wound that would never heal. The city was filled with whispers. Malicious rumors spread, blaming Jae-yi for Hongrang's disappearance. Even the vanishings of several other children were dragged into the swirl of slander. Min Yoi fell further into despair. Her days sank into clouds of tobacco smoke and bottles of liquor. Meanwhile, the father, Sim Yeol-guk, had to face cunning frauds who pretended to be Hongrang for profit. His anger exploded. He punished them without mercy. Until one day, his loyal servant came bringing shocking news. The Grand Prince had summoned him. Sim Yeol-guk immediately went to see him, apologizing for past mistakes. But the prince greeted him warmly and showed him his latest painting. He asked for Yeol-guk's opinion. Yeol-guk praised it. The painting seemed almost alive. The prince then asked him to create a new paper, flawless and perfect, through 6 stages of processing. That night, in the quiet forest, the bandit Jo Bang-suk was chasing a man. But the man was rescued by Mu Jin, the adopted son of the Min family. The tension rose when Jo Bang-suk insisted on checking Mu Jin's palanquin, but all he found inside was a woman. Shocked and embarrassed, he was forced to apologize, then left in anger. It turned out that the person Mu Jin was hiding was actually Jae-yi, Hongrang's elder brother and his own adopted sister. Jae-yi was disguised as a man for a certain reason. Upon arriving home, Mu Jin reported his work to his foster father, Sim Yeol-guk. Pleased with the results, Yeol-guk assigned him to lead the formalization of a trade partnership with the Uiju Trading Guild in 3 days. Mu Jin initially refused, but Yeol-guk insisted that he had adopted Mu Jin to replace his position, to strengthen the Sim Trading Guild, taking over from the Min Guild, especially since his wife, the rightful head of the Min Guild, had been in an unstable condition for the past 12 years. What they didn't know was that Guigokja, the powerful shaman who protected Min Yoi, came to visit her. She scolded Yoi to stop lamenting her fate and to stand tall again. Yoi then bowed deeply, begging for a blessing and asking for her son to be returned. Guigokja told her to prepare herself, for the most precious guest would soon arrive. 3 days later, as Mu Jin was about to formalize the partnership with the Uiju Trading Guild, Min Yoi suddenly appeared. In front of everyone, she demonstrated that she was still the head of the Min Trading Guild, by ordering Mu Jin to kneel and serve as her stepping stone. Jae-yi, seeing her stepmother from the crowd, panicked and fell. To divert Yoi's attention away from Jae-yi, Mu Jin quickly bowed and offered for Yoi to step onto the carriage. Sim Yeol-guk was furious that Mu Jin had allowed himself to be humiliated, but Mu Jin explained that he did it deliberately to appear as a devoted son. Behind that, he was waiting for a major disaster to occur in Yoi's transactions so he could step in, allowing them to gain even greater profit. After meeting his adoptive father, Mu Jin went to Jae-yi and treated her wounds. He scolded her to stop deceiving criminals for money in her search for Hongrang, and reminded her to cancel her plan to go to Yanjing. He warned her to stop looking for Hongrang through dangerous means. Mu Jin promised that once he became the head merchant, he would open a branch in Yanjing and appoint Jae-yi as its leader, so they could go together. But Jae-yi refused, telling Mu Jin to marry and have children. She didn't want to become an obstacle or the subject of gossip, knowing that they weren't related by blood. Not long after, a man who once promised to find Hongrang returned after 12 years. He claimed to have found a young man he believed to be Hongrang. Sim Yeol-guk warned him of the risks if he dared to lie, but the man insisted. He explained that the young man had been raised in a brothel, had become a ruthless swordsman, and believed himself to be an orphan with no memory of his childhood. Sim Yul-guk doubted him, but decided to confirm the truth quietly and asked the man to keep it secret. However, Min Yoi suddenly arrived and ordered that the young man be brought to their home immediately. The young man believed to be Hongrang was brought to the Min family's house just as Jae-yi dreamed of her brother. For years, she had been haunted by that dream. When a servant told her Hongrang had been found, Jae-yi immediately ran to meet him. Sim Yul-guk and his trusted men conducted a series of tests and confirmed that the young man was indeed Hongrang. But Jae-yi arrived and immediately accused him of being an impostor. Even though Yul-guk assured her that tests had been done, Jae-yi remained firm. She asked many questions about their childhood, but Hongrang only replied that he remembered nothing. Jae-yi became even more certain he was a fraud. When Min Yoi arrived, though nervous and afraid, Jae-yi still insisted that the young man was not her brother. But her words only made Yoi more convinced, believing that Jae-yi's denial was merely an attempt to protect her position in the household. The servants advised Jae-yi not to jump to conclusions, but she stood firm. Though they hadn't met for years, she still remembered Hongrang's face, and that man was not her brother. That night, Jae-yi sat upstairs praying that the real Hongrang would soon return. Suddenly, the man called Hongrang appeared, pretending to aim an arrow at her. Jae-yi grew even more irritated and was even more convinced he was a fraud. The next day, Hongrang dined with his family. He introduced his loyal servant In-hyo, who, though mute and deaf, was highly perceptive and dependable. After In-hyo left, Mu-jin came to join the meal, but Yoi belittled him. Sim Yul-guk emphasized that Mu-jin played a vital role in managing the trading guild and told Hongrang to learn from him before taking over the position. Meanwhile, Jae-yi grew restless watching her stepmother's attitude. She was determined to find the real Hongrang to expose the impostor and protect Mu-jin's position. The next day, Hongrang was barked at by a dog near the house. As he approached, Jae-yi appeared to protect the dog, sparking an argument between them. Suddenly, Yoi came and asked why Hongrang hadn't left yet. Hongrang replied that he was trying to talk to the dog. His words reminded Jae-yi of her brother's childhood. After that, Hongrang went to the city to inspect the Min family's shops. When he returned from the city, Hongrang saw an old building that turned out to be Jae-yi's room. As he inspected it, Jae-yi arrived. Hongrang decided to leave, but Jae-yi stopped him because of the mark behind his ear. Hongrang said it was just a scar. Offended when Jae-yi tried to touch it, he gripped her hand tightly, refusing to let go. Mu-jin arrived, forcing Hongrang to release her and warning him not to treat Jae-yi harshly. Hongrang laughed at Mu-jin, warning that he would soon drive him out. Mu-jin replied that he would not surrender his position to a fraud. That night, while everyone was asleep, a woman stepped out of her room and felt someone watching her. When she turned around, she saw a tall, white-haired figure standing behind her. She screamed hysterically. A boy disappeared again without a trace. His servant claimed to have seen a ghost on the night of the incident. The servant was beaten badly for failing to protect his master. Hearing the news, Jae-yi said she had to meet the servant. Her friends disguised themselves as government officials, visited the missing boy's family home, and gathered everyone in the yard, while Jae-yi secretly went inside and took the servant away.
잠깐만. 미친다. 아, 어째 이래놨노? 미친.
Elsewhere, a child auction was taking place. Nobles bought them at low prices to be made slaves. Unbeknownst to them, Hongrang and In-ho had infiltrated the place. They caused chaos, freed the children, and searched for a boy named Seol-ki. The auction owner said Seol-ki had already been taken by the snowman, a white-haired figure rumored to be a ghost. Hongrang remembered being chased by that figure in the past and vowed to find the culprit. Jae-yi heard the same story from the servant she had rescued, about a white-haired figure with pale eyes. She recalled that Hongrang had once told her about nightmares where he met such a being. 3 months before his disappearance, Hongrang had been found wandering at night unconsciously in the forest. They once thought he was just sleepwalking. From then on, he kept talking about his dreams, but Jae-yi ignored him. Now she regretted it deeply. With the support of her friends, she swore to find that snowman. Meanwhile, the rescued children were relocated to a safe place. One child claimed to have once been with Seol-ki in a place that smelled of ink sticks. However, He had been sent back because he was deemed useless and was later sold. When Hongrang asked if he had seen a painter, the child said he didn't know. His eyes had been covered with cloth. The next day, Mu-jin and Sim Yeol-guk discussed business. Mu-jin suggested they investigate Hongrang's past, in case of potential problems. Before Yeol-guk could respond, Min Yo-i arrived asking where Hongrang was. She grew angry upon seeing her husband still rely on Mu-jin. She demanded Mu-jin be dismissed, but Yeol-guk refused, saying no one could manage the guild as well as Mu-jin, not even Hongrang. He reminded her that expelling Mu-jin would mean destroying the guild. Yoi fell silent, then asked her husband to find Hongrang. It turned out Hongrang was in the library. His mother's servant came and asked him to see Yoi, who was praying to the ancestors. Seeing his grandfather's portrait, Hongrang knelt in respect. He recalled sitting on his grandfather's lap, listening to stories, and smelling the scent of pine from his body. Yoi was delighted to hear that, since his grandfather did regularly drink pine extract for digestive problems. Mu-jin told this to Jia-yi, but she still didn't believe it. She said anyone could guess the appearance of Hongrang's famous grandfather. Yet she couldn't refute the detail about the pine scent. Even so, she remained convinced the young man wasn't her brother. Jia-yi wondered what that man's true motive was, and how well prepared his plan had been before coming there. Mu-jin couldn't bear to see Jia-yi restless, especially since he himself doubted Hongrang's identity. He ordered his men to investigate Hongrang's past, starting from the brothel where he was raised. Meanwhile, news about the servant who saw a ghost and was rescued by someone reached Hongrang's ears. Curious about that person's intentions, he ordered In-ho to find the servant. After In-ho left, Hongrang met Jia-yi, who was washing cloth. Jia-yi said that whatever Hongrang's plan was, she only asked him to protect her brother's good name. Irritated, Hongrang grabbed the cloth and accidentally tore it. Jia-yi grew angry, saying the real Hongrang would never do that. Hongrang just stared coldly and walked away, leaving Jia-yi in tears. The next day, the maid serving Hongrang saw him eating a snack and was convinced he was the real Hongrang. Hongrang said Jia-yi thought otherwise, but the maid laughed, saying Jia-yi had changed because of pressure from the family. She also asked if Hongrang remembered what happened 12 years ago, when Yoi destroyed the altar honoring Jia-yi's mother just because Hongrang had prayed for her spirit. Yoi even tore Jia-yi's mother's swaddling cloth. Hearing that, Hongrang felt guilty for tearing Jia-yi's cloth the previous night. That night, Hongrang had a nightmare. He woke up and left his room. He heard a faint voice and saw Jia-yi praying to her mother's spirit, begging for Hongrang to be returned. Jo Bang-suk was released after being reported by Mu-jin. Furious, he swore revenge. While spying on the Min family's house, he saw Jia-yi and remembered the woman in the palanquin. From a passing servant, they learned that the woman was Sim Yeol-guk's daughter. He then ordered his men to spy on Jia-yi. However, what they discovered was the hiding place of the servant Jia-yi had rescued. When Jia-yi was about to send the servant out of town, she briefly ran into Hongrang, who didn't recognize her because she was disguised as a man. When Hongrang and In-ho arrived at the hiding cave, the place was already empty. Hongrang only found snacks identical to those in his house. He realized it was Jia-yi who had rescued the servant. That night, Jia-yi gave the servant money to go to Naju Island. Before she left, the servant confessed to seeing two characters on the ghost's neck that night. Unable to read, she drew the lines she saw. Jia-yi recognized it as the character Il, meaning one. The servant apologized for not speaking up sooner. Jia-yi thanked her for her honesty. Jia-yi quietly returned to her room, unaware that Hongrang was watching her from a hidden spot. The next day, Mu-jin received information about Hongrang's past. He was known as the Soul Reaper, a merciless killer. The informant warned Mu-jin to stay away from him. Mu-jin returned home feeling uneasy and immediately went to see Jia-yi. Meanwhile, Jia-yi continued searching for the second character on the ghost's neck. As she drew on the ground, Hongrang silently appeared behind her. Just then, Mu-jin arrived and saw Hongrang. He immediately drew his sword, calling Hongrang the Soul Reaper. Instead of being afraid, Hongrang laughed, amused that Mu-jin still dared to draw his sword after knowing that. Hongrang told Mu-jin to put away his sword because their father was coming. Soon after, Yeol-guk arrived. Hongrang quickly greeted him, lying that Mu-jin had just informed him about the patrol schedule and invited him to see the artwork. Yeol-guk then allowed Hongrang to join the patrol. After their father left, Hongrang reminded Mu-jin not to forget that he had just saved him. After Hongrang departed, Mujin asked Jia Yi to promise not to confront Hongrang again. Elsewhere, the servant Jia Yi had saved was captured by Zhou Bangsuk. He forced her to talk, and she eventually confessed that Jia Yi was searching for the snowman. After that, rumors about the ghost spread widely. Hongrang found it strange since that being supposedly disliked showing itself. Jia Yi and her friends were also suspicious because there were no real witnesses, only gossip. They decided to search for the snowman's traces when it rained. That night, as rain poured, Jia Yi prepared to leave. Suddenly, an arrow struck her wall. She unfolded the paper tied to its end. It was a map. Thinking it was a clue to Hongrang's whereabouts, she rushed to the location, only to find the corpse of the servant she had rescued. It was a trap. Zhou Bangsuk intended to kill her and claim the reward for her death. At that critical moment, Hongrang appeared and coldly said, "How dare you lay a hand on my sister?" Hongrang blocked Zhou Bangsuk's path, telling Jia Yi to hide behind him and swiftly slashing Zhou Bangsuk's eye, making the man roar in pain. Zhou Bangsuk's men attacked them, but Hongrang easily defeated them all. Cornered, Zhou Bangsuk dragged Jia Yi to the edge of a cliff, threatening to push her off. Hongrang remained calm and told him to exchange hostages because his own life was more valuable. Foolishly, Zhou Bangsuk believed him and released Jia Yi. But the moment he let his guard down, Hongrang pushed him off the cliff. Jia Yi survived, but her leg was injured. Hongrang offered to help, but she firmly refused. Then, Hongrang lifted her onto his shoulder like a sack of rice. Jia Yi struggled and yelled, but Hongrang threatened to throw her into the ravine. Hongrang carried Jia Yi until they met Mujin, who immediately carried her in his arms, making Jia Yi feel uncomfortable. After returning home, Jia Yi kept remembering little Hongrang, who always said he would never let anyone humiliate her. Meanwhile, Hongrang realized his investigation had reached a dead end. The snowman rumor turned out to be Zhou Bangsuk's trap to lure Jia Yi. He suspected that the painter they were seeking might currently be painting while killing, just as he had done to Hongrang and Inho. Even so, he believed that the painter was nearby, close to his father. So he decided to begin the investigation within their own home. On the other hand, Mujin continued to spy on Hongrang's movements. From his informant's report, he learned that Hongrang didn't kill Zhou Bangsuk's men during the previous night's incident. Mujin guessed that Hongrang had deliberately held himself back because his position in the guild was not yet strong enough. Meanwhile, Grand Prince Hopyong looked frustrated. He threw his unfinished painting aside and went to the market. There, he saw a crowd of people. His servant said they were scrambling to buy a newly arrived painting by Durayong. The prince snorted and turned to leave. But then, a small boy bumped into him. Gently, he asked if the boy was alone. The child nodded, and the prince took him in. From a distance, Hongrang witnessed everything. A servant reported to Sim Yolguk that the Grand Prince had returned. Yolguk was surprised that the prince hadn't informed him. On the way, he reminded Hongrang to thank the prince for providing financial support and sending troops to search for him all those years. When they met the prince, Hongrang observed his painting technique. The prince painted with his right hand, while the painter they were searching for used his left. The painting style was different as well. When leaving, Hongrang saw the boy the prince had taken in practicing writing in the yard. He told Inho and felt relieved that the situation wasn't getting more complicated, yet disappointed that his investigation had reached another dead end. Meanwhile, Sim Yolguk continued his conversation with the prince. The prince mentioned the painter causing a stir. Yolguk explained that the painter was famous not for his reputation, but for the rumors. He painted using animal carcasses and human corpses. It was said that the spirits within his paintings could steal lives. Because of those rumors, the price of his paintings could equal several houses. The prince grew irritated upon hearing that. He called the painter arrogant and a disgrace to art. But when Yolguk asked what he would do about it, the prince replied, "Let him be. Everyone determines their own fate." The prince was certain that the painter could never imitate his brushstrokes, for the ability to capture the essence of a spirit was an exceptionally rare gift. Elsewhere, Hongrang finally caught Jia Yi following him. Jia Yi asked why he had saved her that night, accusing him of doing it on purpose so she would believe he was her brother. Hongrang didn't deny it, but felt disappointed that she still doubted him. Jia Yi then tested Hongrang by showing him several small beetles. She knew her brother had always been terrified of beetles. At first, Hongrang appeared frightened, but then he suddenly picked up the largest one and said he would keep it as a pet. After leaving Jia Yi, Hongrang saw a small child crying in the courtyard. It reminded him of himself as a boy, crying for his mother. As he approached, A woman came out and brought the child inside. Relieved, Hongrang walked away. From afar, Jia witnessed the scene and felt moved. Meanwhile, Mu Jin met Hong Sik, Hongrang's distant cousin. He openly admitted that he still suspected Hongrang. Hong Sik said he had an idea to prove Hongrang's identity on his upcoming birthday. That day, Jia called Hongrang by his name for the first time. She made a hand gesture forming a circle, something they used to do as children. Hongrang looked confused, but slowly mimicked her. Before they could finish, Mu Jin appeared, and their attention shifted. Mu Jin asked if Jia was still uncomfortable around him. Jia avoided the question, saying she was just confused. Mu Jin replied that everything would soon end and Hongrang's true identity would be revealed. Jia didn't understand what he meant. It turned out Mu Jin was referring to Hong Sik's plan for Hongrang's birthday. Although he briefly argued with Mu Jin over a gift, the situation improved once Sim Yol-guk intervened. Yol-guk ordered the servants to serve food, and they began to toast. Suddenly, Hong Sik shouted that the wine they were drinking was pomegranate wine, and that Hongrang was allergic to pomegranates. He knew because, as children, Hongrang once had a fever for half a day after drinking stolen pomegranate wine. Everyone turned to look at Hongrang, who seemed fine, but soon, rashes appeared on his neck. Hongrang's mother immediately accused Jia of trying to harm him and began beating her. Mu Jin stepped forward to protect Jia, but before he could speak, a servant stepped up and confessed to having swapped the wine out of fear that there wasn't enough stock. Hongrang's mother grew furious, beating both the servant and Jia. When she was about to strike Jia again, Hongrang stopped her. Everyone fell silent. After everyone dispersed, Hongrang looked at Jia and Mu Jin alternately, then left without a word. As he escorted Jia to her room, Mu Jin said that everything was wrong, that Hongrang must have planned a way to escape the incident. But Jia replied that it was Mu Jin who had plotted to harm Hongrang. She went into her room, which was then locked from the outside by a servant. Because of the incident, many trade leaders began siding with Hongrang. Sim Yol-guk grew uneasy and ordered his servant to contact the Jin studio to prepare something. That night, Jia dreamed of a time when she had pulled out Hongrang's tooth. He had kept it in a pouch, afraid that field mice would steal it. Hongrang feared the mouse might turn into him, and Jia wouldn't be able to tell which was real. Jia woke up. She saw food near the window, then heard Hongrang's voice from outside. Hongrang said he was hurt and disappointed. If only Jia had trusted him a little, she wouldn't have let him drink that wine. But Hongrang didn't care anymore. He admitted he had never truly tried to prove himself as Jia's brother. All his life, Hongrang had tried to be someone for others, yet he always felt alone, as if he had fallen from the sky. Jia fell silent, then asked if Hongrang's wound still hurt. She hoped it wouldn't fester, and that Hongrang would no longer feel pain, whether he truly was Hongrang or not. After that, a man approached Hongrang. He said that the leader was very worried. Hongrang asked how the leader knew about his allergy. The man replied that they could not afford to fail. Hongrang's true identity must never be exposed. It turned out that during the banquet earlier, the man had given him a varnish poison to conceal his allergic reaction. Then Hongrang explained that he had checked all the painters affiliated with the guild, examined all the documents, but could not find the person they were looking for. He also emphasized that everyone's trust was in Hongrang, but earlier, Jia had nearly ruined everything. According to him, Jia's presence would only make things harder, and he ordered Hongrang to eliminate her. Meanwhile, Yaoi, Hongrang's mother, held a secret meeting with the heads of the guild's partner merchants. She asked for their support, promising to pay handsomely. But she also threatened that if anyone changed their stance after leaving the meeting, not only they, but also their descendants for generations would be killed. One of the heads, Min, reminded her that support did not depend on them or the guildmaster, but rather on loyal customers who had long supported the guild, especially those once loyal to Yoi's father. Min suggested that Yoi should win those old customers' hearts, and she agreed with the idea. Sim Yol-guk learned of this and decided to leave for the Jin art studio at dawn. After checking all the paintings, he wandered through the market, reminding his servant to be careful in carrying out their plan. At that moment, he caught a familiar scent from a woman who passed by. The name Moon Gyu-ha slipped from his lips. His servant was startled and said that Gyu-ha had long ago died by suicide. Yol-guk's memory drifted back to the past, when he and a woman carrying his child had planned to escape together. But the plan failed because Yoi stopped him. The woman was imprisoned in a warehouse, while her brother was furious. Yoi then gave Yol-guk a choice: leave with the woman or take the guildmaster's seal. Though he was initially threatened, Yeolguk's greed eventually led him to choose power. It turns out Yeolguk's past is very dark. He once had an affair with a woman, resulting in her becoming pregnant with a child. As the sun rose, 2 servants quietly went to Jae-yi's room carrying food. The older servant called her name several times, but there was no response. At that time, Hongrang was nearby, worrying about Jae-yi, remembering her sincere prayer that he would no longer be hurt. Yet the mysterious man's order to get rid of Jae-yi kept haunting him. When the servant screamed in panic upon seeing Jae-yi lying unconscious in her room, Hongrang rushed over and broke down the door. He immediately carried Jae-yi to the physician's house. Half conscious, Jae-yi dreamed of Hongrang sitting beside her, crying and holding her hand. Mu-jin also came to visit Jae-yi. The physician said that Jae-yi had suffered stomach and spleen damage due to stress, causing her to vomit blood. He prescribed medicine and told her to rest. Elsewhere, Chief Min brought a painting to Minister Hong. The minister liked it and wanted to buy it, but Min explained that it was a gift from Yeoi. The minister was pleased and promised to help her if she ever needed assistance. After Jae-yi recovered, Mu-jin apologized for the incident at Hongrang's birthday celebration. Jae-yi asked, if the current Hongrang were truly real, what would Mu-jin do? The man replied that he would accept it, because Jae-yi's brother was also his brother. Hongrang overheard their conversation from afar, and realized that the person who had tried to harm him at the party was Mu-jin, while Jae-yi had actually protected him. Ironically, at that time, Hongrang had believed that the poisoned pomegranate wine had been given by Jae-yi. The next morning at breakfast, Sim Yeolguk asked Hongrang to visit his great-uncle, who had not seen him for a long time. Hongrang agreed on the condition that Jae-yi accompany him, saying he was afraid of angering his uncle because his memory had not yet fully returned. The next day, Sim Yeolguk presented a painting to Minister Hong, but it turned out to be identical to the one Yeoi had previously given him. Feeling mocked, the minister visited their house. In front of Yeolguk, he showed both paintings. Yeolguk explained that the one given by Yeoi was fake, and he could tell because all guild items had a special mark from him. Minister Hong was furious and accused Yeoi of making a fool of him. However, Yeolguk pretended to defend his wife. When Minister Hong was about to leave, Yeoi tried to greet him, but he ignored her, as did her husband. Feeling that something was wrong, Yeoi ordered her servant to investigate. She panicked upon learning that the painting she had given to Minister Hong was indeed a fake. At the great-uncle's residence, the warm welcome was given only to Hongrang, not to Jae-yi. Even during dinner, the great-uncle asked whether she was now convinced that Hongrang was truly her brother. Jae-yi couldn't answer. The great-uncle tested Hongrang with the flame of his tobacco pipe, but was surprised that Hongrang didn't flinch, even though he had once been traumatized by fire. However, Hongrang replied that his life experiences were far more terrifying than mere burns. The hunger, fear, and loneliness he endured were true suffering. The great-uncle said that from then on, he would never feel lonely again. Yeoi herself hurried to meet Gwigokja, who offered a solution. If the original is removed, then the fake will become real. On their way home, Hongrang nearly carried out the order to kill Jae-yi. However, he hesitated when he saw the girl swimming freely and then sleeping peacefully. Instead, a feeling of pity and warmth stirred in his heart. As he was observing Jae-yi's face, he heard noises. Hongrang went to check and was ambushed by a group of assassins. He killed them all except their leader. When he asked who had sent them, the man remained silent. Hongrang then left him to die. It turned out that those men were sent by Mu-jin to protect Jae-yi, but his servant had instead ordered them to be eliminated. Back at the camp, Hongrang was surprised because Jae-yi was missing, but suddenly she appeared with a worried face, afraid that Hongrang had disappeared again. Hongrang just laughed when Jae-yi tried to protect him with her dagger. The next day, as they continued their journey, Jae-yi noticed a wound on Hongrang's leg. She got off her horse and stopped him. She cried and bandaged the wound with her own cloth. Hongrang, who was usually cold, fell silent this time, awkward and hiding his surprise at her concern. Meanwhile, at the Min Trading Guild, Yeoi suggested that they examine both her painting and her husband's. After it was determined that Yeoi's painting was fake, she brought in a painter from the Jin studio who claimed he marked all of his forged works. In the end, it was concluded that her husband's painting was the fake one. After everyone had left, Yeolguk reminded Yeoi of the consequences of her actions, but she was already prepared. She had ordered the warehouse containing the original paintings to be burned. making all her forged paintings become the only authentic ones left. Elsewhere, Jae-yi felt foolish for crying so dramatically over Hongrang's leg wound, while Hongrang kept convincing himself that what he felt was nothing more than a momentary pity. When they arrived home, Yeoi greeted Hongrang and Jae-yi warmly, leaving Hongrang puzzled. Hongrang met again with the mysterious man. When asked why Jae-yi hadn't been eliminated yet, Hongrang replied that Jae-yi was the only true descendant of Sim Yeol-guk and would be useful in critical times. Meanwhile, in the market, Sim Yeol-guk encountered the brother of the woman from his past. He was shocked to see that the man was still alive. In the room where Hongrang was currently staying, the mysterious man warned him to gain Jae-yi's trust. From the adjacent chamber, a woman's voice asked whether Hongrang was capable of doing so. Then, a woman appeared. The mysterious man addressed her as their leader. When she removed her face covering, it was revealed that she was the woman from Sim Yeol-guk's past, the one whom Hongrang called Mother. Kotnim remembered the past when she and her unborn child were killed by Min Yeol-guk's men. Fate later brought her together with Hongrang. A mother who had lost her child and a child who had lost his mother came to depend on each other ever since. However, she was disappointed that Hongrang ignored the orders of the person who had brought them together. When told to eliminate Jae-yi and Mu-jin to become the sole heir of the guild, Hongrang refused, saying that Jae-yi would be useful someday. Kotnim agreed, on the condition that if Jae-yi ever threatened their plans, she must be eliminated immediately. That night, Mu-jin was deeply disappointed after learning that his loyal servant had ordered the men he hired to kill Hongrang. Shortly after, Jae-yi came and asked why Hongrang was called the Grim Reaper. She was curious because when returning from their great-uncle's house, she saw Hongrang wounded. Jae-yi thought that Hongrang must have been attacked. Seeing Mu-jin's reaction, Jae-yi became convinced that her brother knew something. Mu-jin then said that the nickname Grim Reaper was given because Hongrang was a murderer known for his cruelty and danger. However, Jae-yi instead worried that she might not have truly recognized Hongrang all this time. Perhaps his cautious behavior and sorrowful eyes were because people were threatening him and trying to kill him. Hongrang went to Jae-yi's secret cave and saw a painting of little Hongrang carrying a pouch that looked familiar. Hearing footsteps, he stepped outside and pretended he had just arrived. When Jae-yi came, she was surprised and asked how Hongrang knew that place. Hongrang claimed he had simply followed her footsteps. He hoped that when Jae-yi saw him there, she would finally recognize him as her brother. Jae-yi asked him to tell her about his past so she could understand him better, but Hongrang refused, saying that if she knew, she would only feel more distant. Jae-yi then asked why his leg had been injured, but Hongrang told her to worry about herself instead. The next day, Hongrang asked the servant about the pouch, who explained that it had been a gift from Sim Yeol-guk to his wife when she was pregnant with Jae-yi, and that Jae-yi had once given it to her younger brother. Hongrang then remembered where he had seen it and became convinced that the pouch could save both him and Jae-yi. After the fake painting incident, customers who usually did business with Sim Yeol-guk now only wanted to trade with Min Yeoi. The guild's partner leaders began to worry, but suddenly, Yeol-guk's servant rushed in, announcing that Painter Park had committed suicide and left behind a letter of apology, saying he felt guilty for producing and selling fake artworks that caused the previous incident. The customers who had stopped doing business with Sim Yeol-guk out of misunderstanding now placed even more orders as an apology. But all of it was Min Yeoi's doing to fulfill her promise to her husband. Afterward, she showed him a marriage contract for Jae-yi and demanded that he keep his word. Sim Yeol-guk was furious that Yeoi dared involve Jae-yi in business deals, but Yeoi coldly replied that it was better for her to prepare a wedding dress for Jae-yi than a coffin. Jae-yi, still deeply curious about Hongrang's past, recklessly went to a gambling den disguised as a man to find out more about the Grim Reaper. Upon hearing that name, the rowdy bandits suddenly fell silent. They refused to talk. Jae-yi didn't realize that behind the room were Hongrang's comrades. As she left the place, she was suddenly blocked, but someone appeared and took her away. Meanwhile, Yeol-guk received a report that Mun-gyu-ha indeed had business in that city. But Yeol-guk did not believe it easily. He ordered his servant to continue monitoring Gyu-ha's movements. They must not let their guard down. Hongrang himself went to the place where Kotmin had buried his pouch, identical to Jae-yi's, and said that the pouch would save both him and Jae-yi. When he arrived home, In-ho told him that Jae-yi had gone to the gambling den, asked about the Grim Reaper, and then disappeared. Hongrang was shocked, but suddenly Jae-yi appeared from behind the fence. When Hongrang asked if something had happened, Jae-yi lied. She didn't tell him that Jo Bang-suk had just kidnapped her and said that he had found the real Hongrang and wanted to exchange him for the fake one.
증자까지 있다면 당장 민상단으로 달려가지 않...
자리에서 놈이 가짜라는 걸
The next day, Mujin comforted the gloomy Jae-yi. He said he had found someone who knew about Hongrang's childhood and had already sent people there. He asked Jae-yi not to suffer in silence, then gently fixed her hair. Hongrang appeared and found the act inappropriate. Jae-yi defended herself, saying that Mujin was like her own brother. Offended, Hongrang left without showing her the pouch he had taken from Kotmin. That night, Jae-yi came to apologize, saying she was tired of feeling doubtful every day, so she would stop. Then, suddenly, Hongrang collapsed. Jo Bang-suk appeared, ordering his men to cut off Hongrang's hand, but Jae-yi stopped them, demanding proof that Hongrang was an impostor. Jo Bang-suk had been lying, but Hongrang suddenly woke up. It turned out Jae-yi had already told him about the plan. A fight broke out. Hongrang was hit by a poisoned arrow while protecting Jae-yi. His comrades arrived to help, but also intended to kill Jae-yi. Though growing weaker from the poison, Hongrang continued to protect her. As Hongrang grew weaker, Jae-yi came and asked who they were. Hongrang admitted that they were his family, his brothers. He asked Jae-yi to stop doubting him and showed her the pouch he had taken. The girl immediately believed that he was the real Hongrang, so the group members decided not to kill her. From that day on, Hongrang and Jae-yi's relationship improved. But Mujin felt conflicted after Jae-yi told him what had happened. On one hand, he was happy that Jae-yi had found her brother, and that his jealousy was unfounded. But on the other hand, if Hongrang truly was the real one, he would have to give up his position. After meeting Mujin, Jae-yi and Hongrang went to the forest, to the place they used to visit as children. While they were there, Hongrang made Jae-yi feel awkward and eager to leave. But Hongrang stopped her, saying he wanted to stay like that just a little longer. When they returned home, Yeoi greeted them warmly and told Jae-yi to greet a man who would become her father-in-law. Learning this, Mujin immediately met his adoptive father and objected to the arranged marriage. But Yeolguk questioned why he objected when the marriage clearly benefited them. Moreover, if either side withdrew, they would face a huge financial penalty. In the courtyard, Jae-yi took a walk with her fiancé. They spoke casually until the man suddenly held her hand and apologized. Even though it was their first meeting, he said he had been observing Jae-yi for a long time whenever he visited that place. From a distance, Yeoi commented that Jae-yi and her fiancé made a perfect couple. Jae-yi's future father-in-law then said they should soon set a wedding date, and Yeoi immediately suggested having it before winter. Secretly, Hongrang and Mujin investigated the fiancé's family. From the locals, they learned that the man had been married 3 times. 2 wives had died, and the third had been missing for 10 months. Mujin went to the third wife's family home but was thrown out, while Hongrang investigated at an apothecary and eventually found the hiding place of Lady Ko, the missing third wife. The woman said that her husband delighted in the sound of screams, in torn flesh, and in flowing blood. That was why Hongrang had to stop the wedding, because if he failed, his sister would meet nothing but death. However, in the end, the wedding went on as planned. Just before the ceremony, Lady Ko was found by her husband and tortured until she lay helpless and barely alive. Before the wedding, the mysterious man who often met with Hongrang warned him not to interfere with the ceremony for Jae-yi's safety, because Kotnim believed Jae-yi would only cause trouble for Hongrang. Secretly, Jae-yi tried to escape with the help of her friends toward the harbor. However, before the ship arrived, Min Yeoi's servant appeared and threatened her friends' lives, forcing Jae-yi to return home.
주인의 명 없이 물지도 못하는 개새끼 주제. 개만도 못하면 어디까지 갈 수 있는지 똑똑히 보여줄 테니까.
Mujin was anxious because he hadn't found a way to stop the wedding or locate Lady Ko. Unexpectedly, Lady Ko sent him a letter. Mujin hurried to meet Jae-yi, asking her to proceed with the ceremony as planned, so he could expose the crimes of Master Choi and his son during the celebration. But even after the ceremony ended, Lady Ko never appeared. Hongrang grew upset, especially when In-ho informed him that Jae-yi was going to be secretly killed. During the banquet, Sim Yeol-guk was absent, and Yeoi claimed he was entertaining guests. Mujin and Jaeyi's friends planned to help her escape. However, Jaeyi's drink was drugged, and she nearly fainted. Someone came to kill her, but Hongrang secretly saved her. Mujin, searching for Jaeyi, found the bridal room empty and accused Hongrang. He checked Hongrang's room and saw him asleep from drunkenness. Then he confronted Jaeyi's husband and exposed the crimes of Master Choi and his son. Master Choi denied it, but Sim Yeol-guk arrived with Lady Ko, who confirmed their crimes.
이들 부자는 스스로
자네 제가 샅샅이 드러났으니
The wedding was cancelled. While everyone was distracted, Hongrang secretly took Jae-yi to the Min residence, where he met In-ho, who finally let him go after Hongrang confessed his feelings. Hongrang confessed to Kot-min about his feelings for Jae-yi and begged that the girl be allowed to live. However, Kot-min, still traumatized by Sim Yeol-guk's betrayal, remained suspicious of Jae-yi. Meanwhile, Moon Gyu-ha, Kot-min's brother, met with Yeol-guk to propose an alliance to take revenge on the person he believed had killed his sister, unaware that it was part of Kot-min's plan to trap him. After the wedding incident, Jae-yi remained restless, remembering her kiss with Hongrang, which felt like a dream. She admitted she suffered because of it. Heartbroken, Hongrang asked her to consider it nothing more than a dream. After that, their relationship became distant. Returning home, Hongrang told his mother that he smelled a different scent on his father. Yeoi then ordered a servant to investigate her husband's activities that day. Meanwhile, Sim Yeol-guk offered Mujin the position of head of a shadow trading guild, secretly transferring the guild's funds there. They didn't know that Hongrang overheard their conversation. During the distribution of royal orders, Yeoi was disappointed that her guild's contract had been taken by another. Yeol-guk promised to help her sell her stock to Uiju merchants. However, it was all part of Yeol-guk's scheme. In reality, the order was used to fulfill the royal quota by replacing Min's trading guild with their secret shadow guild. Meanwhile, Yeoi finally discovered that the person Yeol-guk had met at the brothel was Kot-nim's brother. Realizing she had been deceived, Yeoi ordered the sulfur mine to be burned down along with the workers. She then captured Mujin, exposing his crimes, but Mujin remained silent when asked who had ordered him. Worried about Mujin's fate, Yeol-guk sought help from the Grand Prince, but was told to let Mujin die because his crimes were too great. Mujin had only two choices, to die of starvation or drink poison. Worried, Jae-yi tried to visit him in prison, but was stopped by the guards. She confronted her father and begged him to do something. However, Yeol-guk said it was Mujin's own choice. Angry at her father, Jae-yi went to the guild's library to find the financial ledger. But before she found anything, Yeoi arrived and ordered all evidence destroyed. Hiding nearby, Jae-yi accidentally made a noise, arousing Yeoi's suspicion. Fortunately, Hongrang appeared, distracted Yeoi, and saved Jae-yi. Afterward, Hongrang scolded her for recklessly trying to save Mujin, but Jae-yi insisted that Mujin had always prioritized her. Jae-yi felt guilty for being so focused on Hongrang that she hadn't noticed Mujin's suffering. Her words wounded Hongrang deeply. After meeting Hongrang, Jae-yi sought out Mujin's servant to find out what really happened, and began planning to rescue him. A messenger was caught carrying a letter. Its contents asked Yeol-guk to go to Yo village to discuss Mujin's case. Yeoi ordered that the letter still be delivered without revealing she had read it. Then, she and her men went to the location mentioned. Meanwhile, Jae-yi took advantage of the guards who had been food poisoned to free Mujin. At the same time, Yeoi, upon arriving at the site, realized she had been deceived and hurried back home. Kot-nim was furious because of Jae-yi's actions. She warned Hongrang to stay away from her. She said that if Jae-yi caused trouble again, she would personally intervene, and Hongrang would have to kill her if he wanted to save her. Hongrang immediately took action to fix the mess Jae-yi had made. He arrived just as Jae-yi was about to escape with Mujin. After an argument, Mujin decided to return to prison. Shortly after, Yeoi arrived and checked on Mujin, relieved to see that he was still there. The next day, Hongrang assigned Mujin to the Gapsan mine. Jae-yi came to him angrily. Hongrang questioned why she defended Mujin so fiercely and felt hurt that she ignored him. A servant who overheard their argument chased after Jae-yi and revealed that it was Hongrang who had actually saved Mujin, because in truth Yeoi had wanted him dead. Jae-yi met Mujin, who assured her that everything was fine. Hongrang, on the other hand, avoided Jae-yi after their argument, making her feel guilty. Jae-yi wanted to apologize, but Hongrang was busy with his mother. Amid the growing tension at the Min residence, the ghost of the snowman reappeared. A child who had died a year ago suddenly came back to life. The incident shook the entire city. Meanwhile, Mu Jin obtained a sketch of a face resembling Hongrang, that of a servant who had fled 10 years ago. The son of the missing servant's master said that their servant had once been used as a talisman to ward off misfortune and disease, and was then sent to guard a grave. But within a year, he escaped. That servant was always accompanied by a mute child. Shortly afterward, a woman bought them both for a high price. Mu Jin brought the slave purchase letter as evidence, and intended to expose Hongrang's true identity, but wanted to inform Jia-yi first. However, when he arrived at her room, she was not there. Meanwhile, Hongrang and In-ho investigated the case of the resurrected child. Hongrang was convinced that the painter had done the same thing that had once been done to them. When he returned, Jae-yi was waiting outside his room and asked many questions that caused Hongrang to slip up in his words. However, they eventually reconciled, and Jae-yi confessed her feelings. Hongrang reciprocated, and they kissed. Mu Jin saw them, but still wanted to tell Jae-yi the truth he had discovered about Hongrang. However, Jae-yi spoke first, saying that she loved Hongrang. Mu Jin told her she was confused, mistaking her deep longing for her brother after all those years. He asked her to leave with him. Mu Jin burned the evidence about Hongrang. He didn't want Jae-yi and Hongrang to be together, and chose to lose his position if it meant having Jae-yi. That night, Jae-yi wrote a letter for Hongrang and placed it in their usual spot for exchanging messages. But by accident, she found a cloth bundle there and took it. The next morning, she said goodbye to Hongrang and decided to leave with Mu Jin. Hongrang was upset that Jae-yi chose Mu Jin over him. He didn't know that Jae-yi had found both her and her brother's pouches inside the bundle, realizing at that moment that the Hongrang before her was a fake. Jae-yi was finally allowed by her father to leave with Mu Jin. This made Yoi happy. Hongrang grew angry and confronted Mu Jin in the library, but fell silent when Mu Jin mentioned his real name. Mu Jin promised not to expose Hongrang's disguise as long as Jae-yi went with him. He also assured that Jae-yi did not yet know about it. The news of Mu Jin and Jae-yi's exile shocked the merchants in the guild. They believed Yeolguk was in trouble. His associates began to distance themselves, and Hongrang was appointed as the new head of operations. Before his first meeting, the Grand Prince suddenly arrived. Hongrang bowed respectfully and left. When the prince praised Hongrang, Yeolguk said that no matter how great something is, it's useless if it doesn't belong to you. It could even become an obstacle. The prince agreed, then asked about the child who was rumored to have come back to life and then died. Yeolguk explained that the government was currently hunting the so-called snowman, but the prince considered it pointless. He believed the nation's problems stemmed from an imbalance of yin and yang energy. He wished to create a new yin-yang painting, but since losing his previous one, he felt unable to paint properly. Therefore, he asked Yeolguk to set aside guild matters and focus on finding the missing painting. Hongrang secretly investigated the child's death and found dangerous chemical substances in the body. He told In-ho that they must act quickly, as the perpetrator was likely one step ahead of them. Meanwhile, Jae-yi's friends were reluctant to see her go. An older friend asked why she was willing to leave her home and guild even though she knew Hongrang was an impostor. Jae-yi admitted that she couldn't forgive herself for feeling relieved that Hongrang wasn't her brother, and she didn't want him to get hurt. That was the reason she left. Mu Jin also refused to expose Hongrang's secret. He knew Jae-yi would be devastated if Hongrang died, and he didn't want to be the cause. Moreover, Hongrang had saved him many times before. Back to Hongrang. He finally found a place matching the story told by the child before he died. When he saw the place, his body suddenly trembled. He remembered being tortured there along with other children. In-ho comforted him by patting his shoulder. After returning from that dreadful place, Hongrang saw Jae-yi sitting by the pond. He wanted to approach her, but Mu Jin appeared first. Mu Jin asked Jae-yi to forget everything and live peacefully with him, like the pair of birds he brought. Jae-yi agreed. Disappointed, Hongrang chose to leave. That night, Sim Yeolguk was stopped by Jo Bang-suk's men and brought before the bandit himself. Jo Bang-suk accused Hongrang of being a fraud, and planned to link the death of Master Song's son to Yeolguk to ruin his reputation and seize control of the guild. According to him, Hongrang wasn't acting alone. He was ordered by someone and protected by a dangerous sword guild called Gaeum Gaedan. He demanded 5,000 taels in exchange for information and proof. In addition, Yol-guk had to hand over Hongrang to him. When Yol-guk asked for evidence, he promised to deliver it if Yol-guk came at 9 p.m. the next night with the money. Meanwhile, Hongrang captured the man who once tortured him and submerged him into a barrel filled with water mixed with alum and arsenic, the same method the man used on him before. Hongrang forced him to reveal the identity and whereabouts of the mysterious painter, but the man claimed to know nothing. The next night, as promised, Yol-guk met Jo Bang-suk. He was taken to an abandoned furnace belonging to him, which served as evidence linking him to the death of Master Song's son. But before Jo Bang-suk could finish speaking, the snowman appeared and slaughtered Jo Bang-suk along with his men. Yol-guk then ordered his subordinates to clean up the scene. The man captured by Hongrang managed to escape, while Yol-guk met with the eccentric painter known for using corpses as his painting subjects. He was furious because the painter had moved the children without reporting it, and had deliberately let one be found. But the painter responded mockingly, believing Yol-guk was no longer worthy of his service. Coldly, Yol-guk rebuked him, saying that the painter had lost sight of himself and his original purpose. The escaped man reached the painter's house, but before the door could open, Hongrang had already killed him. He had deliberately let the man go to find the painter. Along with his comrades, Hongrang stormed the house. A battle broke out, and he confronted the snowman.
드디어 조졌다.
Just as he was about to win, the snowman disappeared, followed by a scream from inside. Hongrang found the eccentric painter dead and confirmed that he was not the one they were looking for. On the way home, Hongrang admitted to Inho that he missed Jae-yi. When he arrived home, a servant told him that Jae-yi was leaving and that he should say goodbye. The next day, Hongrang waited at their secret meeting place and confessed to Jae-yi that he had deceived her, told her about his past, and felt unworthy of her. Unexpectedly, Jae-yi confessed that she loved him, but still decided to leave. Hongrang stopped her, and in the end, they chose to run away together, causing chaos at the Min residence. Yol-guk believed Hongrang had kidnapped Jae-yi to threaten him. The furious Mu-jin arrived with evidence proving Hongrang was a fraud. He offered to hand over the evidence in exchange for canceling Jae-yi's adoption and marriage to him. Yol-guk agreed and ordered assassins to chase Hongrang. Meanwhile, Yo-ai accused Yol-guk, Mu-jin, and Jae-yi of conspiring against Hongrang, then ordered her men to kill Jae-yi and bring Hongrang back before the others could find him. At the hideout, Kotnim was furious because Hongrang had left with Jae-yi before the guild's grant document was secured. She ordered her brother to monitor Yol-guk and sent her subordinates to bring Hongrang back while provoking a fight between Yol-guk and Yeo-yi. Jae-yi was also to be killed in a way that made it appear as Yeo-yi's doing. 3 groups set out to find them. While resting in a meadow, Hongrang noticed the pursuers' arrival and quietly led Jae-yi away. Mu-jin's men nearly shot them with arrows, but Inho, disguised, intervened and eliminated them. That night, they survived. The next day, Jae-yi went to the village to buy food. On her way back, she was followed by Yeo-yi's men. Once they discovered their hideout, they tried to kill Jae-yi. Hongrang arrived just in time, but Jae-yi's hand was struck by a poisoned arrow. Hongrang took her to a cave and sucked out the poison. However, as the pursuers drew closer, Hongrang was forced to distract them. Jae-yi awoke from her faint and grew anxious, because Hongrang was gone. She went out to search for him in the forest. Meanwhile, Hongrang, returning to the cave, was also worried and began looking for her. Eventually, they reunited. Meanwhile, Mu-jin and Yol-guk were frustrated for losing track of Hongrang and Jae-yi. Impatient, Yol-guk met the Grand Prince, accused Hongrang of being a fraud, and asked for help finding Jae-yi. The prince was angered by Yol-guk's audacity in wanting to use state resources for personal matters. Boldly, Yol-guk promised to find the prince's missing yin-yang painting. At the same time, Hongrang and Jae-yi met an old man who showed them a house at the top of a mountain they could use. They lived there peacefully. Suddenly, Hongrang began coughing, and red rashes appeared on his body, but he hid this from Jae-yi. Then Mu-jin appeared, while Hongrang was placing a hairpin on Jae-yi's head, and realized they were already married. He didn't interfere, but threatened the old homeowner into giving Jae-yi a drink laced with medicine. The girl fainted, and Mu-jin came to take her away. Hongrang arrived just in time, and a fight broke out. Mu-jin's men attacked Hongrang, and Yoi's men appeared to help fight Mu-jin, but they too intended to kill Jae-yi. Amidst the chaos, royal soldiers arrived with Yeolguk. All of Mu-jin and Yoi's men were struck down by arrows. Hongrang was captured, and Jae-yi was taken by Mu-jin. They were both brought back to the Min residence. Yoi was shocked to see Hongrang limp and helpless. She screamed, but Yeolguk ordered them to bring Hongrang inside. Yeolguk drew his sword and demanded to know who Hongrang truly was, but Hongrang only responded with a cynical laugh. Enraged, Yeolguk tore open the back of Hongrang's clothes, revealing his back covered in paintings. Once exposed, Hongrang finally showed emotion, especially when Jae-yi appeared and saw the painting on his body with her own eyes. Hongrang remembered the past when his body had been used as a canvas by the painter, who turned out to be the Grand Prince Hanpyeong. Shame engulfed him, while everyone else was shocked, except Yeolguk. Yeolguk tortured Hongrang, forcing him to reveal who the mastermind behind him was. Hongrang remained unmoved, instead demanding that Yeolguk tell him who the painter was. Meanwhile, Mu-jin brought in Hongrang's former master, who claimed Hongrang was merely a runaway servant bought by a woman. Yoi refused to believe it and called the testimony false, but Yeolguk accused her of hiding the truth and locked her in her room. Jae-yi, who heard the news from a servant, grew anxious about Hongrang's safety. Meanwhile, Yoi became more certain that Hongrang was her son. That night, Mu-jin put a ring on Jae-yi's finger and tried to force her to marry him, but she refused. Mu-jin insisted, even pressuring Yeolguk to set the wedding date soon. Yeolguk claimed he needed to annul the adoption first, but Mu-jin argued that the marriage was reasonable since he and Jae-yi were not blood-related. Yeolguk emphasized that their top priority was finding the mastermind behind Hongrang to secure the deed of grant. Soon after, his servant reported that Prince Hanpyeong wanted Yeolguk to bring Hongrang. However, Yeolguk went without him and asked the prince to be patient. The prince was angered and intended to retaliate, but Yeolguk had already anticipated it. He ordered Hongrang to be moved secretly when the soldiers came to inspect. But on the way, they were ambushed. Yeolguk's servant turned out to be a traitor and allowed Hongrang to be taken to the prince's residence. Apparently, Hongrang had already predicted this and intentionally didn't escape so he could discover the painter's identity. Indeed, at the prince's residence, Hongrang immediately recognized Hanpyeong as the painter he had been searching for and flew into a rage. Jae-yi, who had secretly followed him, was deeply shocked by what she saw. The servant returned to Yeolguk and reported as if Hongrang had been taken by the prince. As the servant left, he was intercepted by Mu-jin, who forced him to arrange a meeting with the prince. Kotnim finally learned the painter's identity and suspected strange activities taking place there. However, she restrained herself until she had solid proof. The prince's motive for painting children over the years remained a mystery. Hongrang and several others fell unconscious due to acupuncture needles. Faintly, he heard Prince Hanpyeong speaking about a grand event that had to be held soon. Not long after, Mu-jin arrived, offering to replace Yeolguk and urging the prince to eliminate his adoptive father. Outside, Jae-yi watched the prince's residence and noticed Hongrang's friends also keeping an eye on it. When Mu-jin came out, he caught Jae-yi and grew angry. He tried to provoke her into abandoning Hongrang, revealing that it was Yeolguk who had ruined Hongrang's life. But Jae-yi insisted she would still protect him. Frustrated, Mu-jin accused Jae-yi of being blinded by love for a liar and never recognizing his love. Jae-yi retorted that Mu-jin was merely obsessed with something he could never have. Mu-jin then returned to the Min residence, bringing a letter from the prince containing the ransom terms for Yeolguk's life to be spared. Yeolguk accused him of being insolent, but Mu-jin replied that he was merely continuing Yeolguk's teachings as his successor and advised his adoptive father to obey the prince. At the prince's residence, the physicians were shocked to realize that Hongrang was not unconscious from the acupuncture. He incapacitated them and searched for an exit. Hongrang found a room full of children and a ceremonial altar. Meanwhile, Kotnim received a report that the prince and Yeolguk were transporting many newborn animals, grains, tin, and other materials to the prince's estate. Gwigoksha explained that the prince was preparing a forbidden ritual to become a god, using 6 talismans that would later be melted into molten bronze to forge sacred instruments. Elsewhere, a strange smell led Hongrang to a room where Prince Hanpyeong was bathing in a tub of blood. Hongrang raged and defeated the prince's men. But just as he was about to reach the prince, the man rang a bell that triggered Hongrang's past trauma. He grew weak and was recaptured. Kotnim wanted to save Hongrang, but Gwigokja refused. She revealed her past, how Yeoi's father had slaughtered her family. She insisted on sacrificing Hongrang to complete their revenge. Kotnim fell silent in sorrow until a subordinate reported that Jai Yi had come to see her. The next day, Jai Yi met with Yeoi. She showed Hongrang's pouch and convinced her that Hongrang was her brother, asking for her help to save him. That night, Jai Yi and Yeoi's men infiltrated the prince's residence along with the goods delivery convoy. She managed to find Hongrang, who gave her a message to deliver to Kotnim, that in 3 days at midnight, in the ravine of Mount Inwang, they would find the proof they sought. 3 days later, Hongrang and 5 others were tied above a boiling bronze cauldron. He freed himself and fought the guards. The prince forbade anyone from harming Hongrang. However, Mujin subdued him. As the situation grew more chaotic, Hongrang's friends arrived, disrupting the ritual. The prince fled. Hongrang chased after him but was blocked by the snowman. Hongrang defeated him, and in the final moments, Mujin killed Inho from behind. Hongrang returned to the hideout and met Jai Yi, who hugged him and apologized for her father's deeds. Kotnim demanded the deed of grant, deeming Hongrang useless, and ordered him to leave. However, Hongrang instead asked about Inho, but Kotnim insisted that Inho belonged to her, and Hongrang didn't need to know anything about him. Hongrang agreed to leave, but he asked Kotnim to tell him about the whereabouts of the real Hongrang, so that Jai Yi wouldn't live in confusion. That night, the well in the Min residence was drained. Jai Yi found the remains of the real Hongrang at the bottom and cried hysterically while holding her brother's skull. It was finally revealed that the real Hongrang had died on the night he and Jai Yi performed a ritual to honor Jai Yi's late mother. At that time, Yeoi was furious and ordered Gwigokja to curse Jai Yi. Knowing this, Hongrang secretly took the talisman paper that was stuck on the wall of Jai Yi's room. He fell and hit his head on a rock, causing it to bleed. A servant found him but, out of fear, did not dare to tell Yeoi. The servant quietly went to seek help. However, when he returned, Hongrang had vanished without a trace. No one knew that at that time. Gwigokja, who was on her way home from the Min residence, saw Hongrang lying there and ordered her servant to dispose of the boy. When Hongrang's remains were found, Yeoi stubbornly denied that they belonged to her son. Jai Yi became angry and for the first time stood up to Yeoi. She accused Yeoi's hatred of having killed Hongrang. The talisman meant to harm Jai Yi had instead taken her own son's life. But Yeoi continued to deny it until the end. Jai Yi buried the real Hongrang and said her final farewell to her brother. After that, Jai Yi and Hongrang lived as husband and wife in a house far from the village. Meanwhile, Prince Hanpyeong had prepared a new talisman to replace Hongrang, but his anger had not subsided. He ordered Mujin and his troops to wipe out the Gyeomgyedan for ruining his ritual and taking Hongrang away. However, Mujin had his own plan. He instructed his men to kill Hongrang. Yeol-guk also ordered his servant to find Hongrang, intending to use him as a shield if the prince made him a scapegoat. Meanwhile, Hongrang's condition worsened by the day. In addition to rashes all over his body, his strength weakened and his vision began to blur. Jai Yi grew suspicious but chose to remain silent, not wanting Hongrang to feel burdened. At the same time, Yeol-guk captured one of Hongrang's friends to learn the location of his hideout. When Jai Yi was at the market, she met Mujin. The man told her about Hongrang's dying condition. Although she knew Mujin was not lying, Jai Yi stubbornly refused to believe him and insisted on staying by Hongrang's side. Annoyed, Mujin swore he would make Jai Yi leave Hongrang. When she returned home, Jai Yi could not find Hongrang. She searched for him and found him walking while groping his way, as his eyesight was nearly gone. Jai Yi was shocked and cried silently. That night, the Gyeomgyedan hideout was attacked by Sim Yeol-guk and his troops. Kotnim was struck by an arrow while her brother was killed by Yeol-guk. One of the members managed to rescue Kotnim and fled with her. As Yeol-guk was about to leave, Mujin appeared with his own troops. Yeol-guk suspected a traitor had leaked the location and realized it was his servant, whom he immediately killed. When Hongrang arrived at the hideout, he found only the aftermath of the battle. He returned and told Jai Yi everything, then asked for permission to destroy his enemies in order to protect her. Though it pained her, Jae-yi finally agreed. Hongrang returned to the Min residence to retrieve the deed of grant. Yoi noticed and called out to him, but Hongrang firmly stated that he was not Yoi's son and that Kotnim was his mother. Yoi was shocked and couldn't believe what she heard. When Yoi's servant tried to attack, Hongrang told him instead to protect Yoi. He also wished for Yoi to survive so she could feel the pain of losing someone she loved. Meanwhile, Jae bravely reported her father to the government office for years of corruption and brought the guild's ledger as evidence. However, as she left the office, she was followed by someone. Yeol-guk was furious upon learning of his daughter's betrayal. Meanwhile, Mujin captured Jae-yi's friends, then released one of them to send a message to Hongrang. But when he brought the captives to the prince had already captured Jae-yi and ordered her execution. The prince said Jae-yi was far more useful than the prisoners Mujin had brought to lure Hongrang. The situation grew more intense. Kotnim went to Yeol-guk and killed him, despite his attempt to persuade her with sweet words. At the prince's residence, Jae-yi was placed inside a coffin and nearly impaled with a stake. But suddenly, Mujin killed the men and saved Jae-yi. Hongrang and his friends arrived at the prince's house, and a fierce battle broke out. Mujin fled with Jae-yi but was gravely wounded. In his final moments, he apologized to Jae-yi for wanting more than he should have. He told Jae-yi to escape with Hongrang's friend. Meanwhile, Jae-yi's friends were finally freed. They then rescued the imprisoned children. Hongrang found the dying In-ho, who passed away in his arms. Mujin also died while trying to escape, leaving a message to his servant to protect Jae-yi. Hongrang finally reunited with Jae-yi. He asked her to lead the captives out first while he went after the prince. Though his illness relapsed, he forced himself to continue moving. When confronting the prince, Hongrang asked why he had committed such cruelty against him and the other children. The prince's answer made no sense to him. To Hongrang, Prince Hanpyeong was nothing more than a deranged madman. When the prince declared he would create a new talisman, Hongrang grew furious and mercilessly slashed off both his hands, annihilated his soldiers, and killed the prince. He came out and saw Jae-yi waiting. Hongrang smiled and walked toward her, but suddenly, he vomited blood. He staggered forward until he collapsed into Jae-yi's arms as she rushed to him, seeing how weak he had become. Hongrang said that Jae-yi had saved him, made him human, and made him a real man. Then he asked when morning would come. He said that today felt too long and exhausting. Jae-yi told him to rest, and in that final conversation, Hongrang took his last breath in her lap. Two years later, at the Min residence, Jae-yi lived a better life. Yoi had lost her sanity, constantly searching for her son, and was cared for by Gwigokja. Jae-yi took care of orphaned children with her friends. On certain nights, she still liked to climb onto the roof to remember Hongrang, and thus, the story comes to an end. This drama teaches us that who we are is defined by how we act and treat others, not by our origin or social status. The characters in this drama face major dilemmas between love, truth, and duty. Every choice has its consequences, and we must be ready to face them. Okay guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest videos.